All right, my name is Eric Shaw. We're going to talk a little bit about how to meal plan for your next big river trip. When you're thinking about meal planning, you need to think about what type of cooking you're going to do. When cooking, you can make it so everyone feeds themselves, one person plans and purchases everything on the menu, or you split the meals into different cook groups where each cook group decides what meal they're going to make, and they go purchase the food, and then we split the cost at the end. So 3 options. The best one for me personally is to set it up so we have a bunch of cook groups, people choose their meals, and they purchase their own food, and then they feed the rest of the group. So when they're planning those meals, they need to take a few things into considerations. Number 1, how many days you're going to be on the river, how many people you're going to be on the river with, how much space for gear you have. That's talking kitchen utensils, stoves, propane, coal, whatever you need to get your stuff started. And we're also going to look at cooler space, how much space we have to keep cold food, or are we going to need to bring a lot of canned food and non-perishable items. We need to consider how much time we want to cook per day while on the river, and how much time we want to prep at home. As a group, everyone needs to decide how much money they want to spend. Sometimes it's great to be able to spend a lot and have lobster and steak. Other times it's really nice to be able to save some money and eat beans and rice. Depends on your budget. When planning, we need to decide what to cook by asking people what their food allergies are, food preferences, if anyone is gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, religious beliefs, whatever that is. If someone is vegetarian, for example, sometimes they're going to need to bring their own food or really speak up and have all vegetarian meals. It's up to the group and the TL to figure that out. We also need to consider how much time of travel we're doing, and if our food's going to be sitting in a cooler in the hot sun all day long or in the back of the car that's air conditioned. So just consider those few things before creating your menu. When looking at my menus, I like to think about how many miles I'm doing per day. So if I have a high mileage day where I cannot spend a lot of time cooking, I'm going to pre-make breakfast burritos in a vacuum seal bag, for example, where I can just boil water, plop those into the boiling water, and have nice hot burritos with minimal cleanup. If I'm doing a low mileage day where I can cook all day long and only spend a couple hours on the river, I'd make something like biscuits and gravy. You know, you have to start a fire, cook the biscuits in a Dutch oven on the fire, and clean up the mess that the gravy makes. Great meal, but takes a lot of time. When packing your cooler, once you've made all your meal plans, it's really nice to be able to label each meal per day and have your meal for the last day at the bottom of the cooler and meals for the first few days at the top of the cooler. Nice and accessible, not digging around, not wasting that cold air and ice that you have by leaving the cooler open in the hot sun. When planning a trip, we also need to look at how much water we're going to bring. A good rule of thumb is 1 gallon per person per day. And then propane, we need to consider if it's going to be a cold trip where we're going to need to boil a lot of water. It's going to take more heat to cook everything, so we'll bring a little bit more than 2 pounds per day of propane. If it's a warmer day, you can survive with 2 pounds per day pretty well off. And that's using about a group of 12 people as an average. Alright, if there is any other information needed on meal planning, feel free to access our website at www.downriverequip.com. I hope to see you out on the river.